Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Round the Nation right here, Jeff Waldorf. Got another great show for you guys today. Here, Round the Nation. Oh boy, it appears that my volume is jacked way the fuck up. So I'm gonna have to turn that down a little bit. Hence, like, distortion. I don't know why, but my volume seems to change daily without me actually doing anything. So that's problematic. Here we go. Okay, a little bit more. Shit. Okay. So yeah, we're just doing these live things to try to fix our stream to make it not suck. So hopefully you guys can still hear me, and it's not too low, but it's not too high. So we're just doing shit on the fly, dude. This is what we do. Okay. Back to the show. We actually have a great show today. We're going to talk about Michael Bloomberg did something interesting today. I'm going to talk about what I think about that, what that signals. We have Trump thinking climate change is fabulous. We also have an op-ed that Trump probably did not write himself, smearing Medicare for all. That is, I'm going to take that shit apart line by fucking ridiculous line. So I'm looking forward to that in the show. You guys probably should too. Chock full of lies. Big surprise. We also have an encouraging poll following Kavanaugh. Now, remember I was talking about how, well, the Kavanaugh nomination is galvanizing Republicans. Well, now we've got a new poll out, or a new series of polls out, that actually says it may not be energizing Republicans as much as it is Democrats. So I want to give you the details on that, because that's really, really interesting. We also may talk about Ford and their layoffs, and then babysitting while black. Here we go again. So there's kind of your breakdown or your rundown of what I hope to be able to talk about today at length. We'll see what happens. Oh, we also have an amazing ad against Ted Cruz. Oh, I love that. That's probably my favorite. We'll lead off with that, because that's a little bit of much needed levity in the news of the day. So that's a lot of fun. Now, if you haven't already, please give us a like and a share. Also consider becoming a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. I cannot tell you how important that is. So, look, yesterday I had some issues with my recording. So I didn't get videos up until super, super late. And then they ended up getting like very, very, very few views on some very important topics that I thought, I was like, well, wait a minute. Climate change devastating the world should probably get more than 500 views on YouTube. So that led me to two different conclusions. For one, either people don't give a shit about climate change, which I fail to believe, or we're again seeing, you know, us being deranked in YouTube so that we don't end up in the search algorithm. And that means a couple of things for me. For one, it makes it much harder to get to 100,000 subscribers, where things actually start to get easier. We start to actually end up in more search results. So that's disastrous. But not only that, but it kills revenue. So the big problem here, again, and I've been encountering this throughout my entire time doing this since, well, maybe not my entire time, but through most of the time I've done the show, I haven't made enough to survive off of it, right? And that's true today as well. So YouTube revenue alone is not enough to pay the bills. So that's why I'm pushing Patreon. We got to get to 500. We got to get to 500 patrons. You know, $3 to $5 as a patron, so that the show can survive and continue. So that's what's, and I hate asking for it, and I hate doing shameless self-promotions. It sucks. And I hate it with a passion. And I hate asking for you guys because I know you ain't got much. You know what I mean? But at the same time, that's the only way that we're going to be able to continue doing the show, is if we have viewer support. And we don't have to rely on YouTube algorithms, you know, to make sure that, hey, I have enough money to pay the rent this month. So, you know, it's just, it's the reality of being on YouTube. And so, all I'm saying is I'm asking for your guys' support. For those who do support me already, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. You guys are helping us to actually stay on the air. So thank you. I appreciate it. For those of you who haven't already, I mean, if you can, do it, because now is the time I need you guys the most. Okay. Enough of that. Again, I hate getting into that. I actually would rather talk about news than money. So let's get into the news. We'll start out with something fun. And that is not fun. I said fun. There we go. All right. There is a new political ad out against Ted Cruz, and it is devastating. Watch.
Somebody left something on my door the other day. It said, Ted Cruz, toughest Texas. I mean, come on. If somebody called my wife a dog and said my daddy was in on the Kennedy assassination, I wouldn't be kissing their ass. You stick a finger in their chest and give them a few choice words. Or you drag their ass out by the woodshed and kick their ass, Ted. Come on. Ted.
Political ad paid for by FTC PAC, not authorized.
I love that guy. You stick a finger in their chest and you give them some choice words, or you take their ass out, you beat that ass. I love this guy. Oh, that's amazing. Super amazing. The whole point, of course, is, look, Ted Cruz has been running ads against Beto O'Rourke. Oh, you want to be a tough in Texas? Well, you can't be a liberal and be in Texas and represent Texas, because Texas, we're tough. We're so tough. We're so tough that we bend the knee to Donald Trump, even after he says the most horrific things about me and my family. Again, that's exactly what Ted Cruz did. And this guy's like, no, we don't respect you. He called your wife a dog. A dog. No, you ain't tough. You were a slimy ass kisser. So, yes, this ad is absolutely spot on, man. And I just I love it at the end. Ted. Look, Beto may have a couple of problems here and some issues on not being progressive enough, but oh man, if Beto beats Cruz, awesome. It is Beto versus Beta. Get out and vote, man. If you haven't registered, do so, because this is gonna be amazing. All right. Just a little fun to start your day. Now, we'll get to the Democrats. Earlier today, news broke that former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg has re-registered as a Democrat. Well, that's interesting. So, why is this important? Why am I bringing this up? I don't know if it's obvious to you guys by now, but I think this is the first step towards a Michael Bloomberg run in 2020. That's my read of it. Take it if you will, but I definitely see Michael Bloomberg running as a Democrat. which is hilariously tone deaf, because in reality, here comes another super wealthy billionaire with incredibly centrist, corporate-friendly policies trying to run in the Democratic primary. Oh, here we go again. Here we go. Now, earlier today, it was also reported that Joe Biden, saw this in an article in The Hill, says, I'm actually not thinking about 2020 after all. Well, wait a minute. Joe Biden's not thinking about 2020 now? I don't know whether to believe that. No, it's a fake. It's a feint, right? I'm going to make you think that I'm not. I'm going to say that I'm not running, even though that I'm running, to gin up excitement of whether or not I should run. It's some like weird chess move or something like that. So I don't know about Joe Biden. But this, Michael Bloomberg, look, if what's going on with Joe Biden is true and that he's not going to run, well, then here comes Bloomberg to fill in that comfortable centrist corporate Democrat niche, right? So old pasty billionaire, and I know pasty because I am pasty. Old pasty billionaire comes in and says, don't worry, I'll be the centrist, super corporate friendly candidate. As if that's what the Democratic Party needs. Now, let me go to the article here. There's a photo on Instagram of him filling out a New York State voter registration form. And it says, at key points in U.S. history, one of the two parties has served as a bulwark against those who threaten our Constitution. 2 years ago, at the Democratic Convention, I warned of those threats. Today, I have re-registered as a Democrat. I've been a member for most of my life because we need Democrats to provide the checks and balance our nation so badly needs. So, again, trying to cement his place as I am the anti-Trump Democrat. I'm going to run on Trump is bad. But didn't we already have a president that ran on Trump is bad? And what happened with that? Oh, right. She lost. Oops. Now, he also, as he said, I've been a member for a Democrat for the most of my life. Is that true? Well, yes and no. He has been a Democrat, true, for most of his life. However, he was also a Republican in 2001 and an independent in 2007. So at some point, he's like, oh man, the Democratic Party is too far left for me in 2001. So I'm going to be a Republican, and then I'm going to be an independent because I still think that the Democratic Party is too left. Now he's like, I'm going to sign up to be a Democrat. So what? You can fight the left from the Democratic Party? Probably. That's my guess. Look, he's already pledged to donate millions of dollars to the Democratic Party. He's already given $20 million earlier to the Democrats' Senate Super PAC. So now these Super PACs, of course, what do they support? They support corporate Democrats. They support centrist, pro-corporate positions. So what do you think these Democrats that are being funded by Michael Bloomberg are going to vote for? He is building a coalition, again, to fight the left, to fight the progressive insurgency. And so when he says, I'm going to sign up to be a Democrat, and he is, here comes the establishment. What do you think their reaction is going to be? Well, Donna Brazile, who is the former DNC chairwoman, she tweeted just hours after Bloomberg officially announced that he was registering as a Democrat, quote, welcome. With open arms, they are bringing back billionaire centrist Michael Bloomberg into the party, who is now likely going to run for president of the United States on the corporate Democrat ticket. Old pasty white guy, super billionaire. That is not what the Democratic Party is looking for anymore. They haven't learned a goddamn thing. At least the establishment hasn't. So, and look, this is another thing, right? So, him re-registering as a Democrat is also a shot against Bernie Sanders, which, if you pay attention to Donut Twitter, and I'm sorry if you do, because I'm in the same boat. Like, having to keep tabs on these crazy people, the hate percent, they continue to criticize Bernie Sanders for not being a real Democrat. Well, now here comes Michael Bloomberg, who was an independent, signing up to be a Democrat. Now they're going to say that Michael Bloomberg is more of a real Democrat than Bernie Sanders. So that's what I see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's not going to run for president. But no, come on. He's definitely going to run. 2020, they're going to be elevating Michael fucking Bloomberg. If you think the establishment hasn't learned anything, well, you're right. They haven't. Disastrous, man. Disastrous. All right. Coffee. I need it. Coffee break, man. Okay. Let's move on. Let's go to the next story here. Now, recently there was a disastrous report by the intergovernmental. Hold on a second. Okay, let me start that over again. I told you it's a need coffee kind of day. All right. So recently there was a report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which is disastrous. It says, and it pulls no punches in this report, that we are about 12 years away from complete environmental disaster. If we do not shape up, if we do not start being able to pull carbon dioxide out of the air and, sharply cut our carbon emissions, we are on track for the most devastating effects of global warming. Now, President Trump, of course, hears this and says, nah, don't believe it. Don't believe it at all. Now, this UN report, which is based on more than 6,000 scientific references from 91 authors across 40 different countries, outlines the impacts of global warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. And that's, of course, the goal that we are trying to hit with the Paris Climate Agreement. Donald Trump, as you know, pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement. Now, it warned that the world is rapidly running out of time before catastrophic effects on the planet take place. So, now Trump, when he was speaking on the White House lawn on Tuesday, said, the report that was, quote, given to me. He says of that report, I want to know who drew it. You know, which group drew it? It's the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Yes, it is the UN. Oh, automatically, he looks at that and says, oh, UN, they drew it up? Oh, never mind. I'm going to ignore the rest of the world, and I'm going to focus only on my donors. I'm going to focus on the coal industry. I'm going to prop up the coal industry, despite the fact that solar and wind are actually cheaper. Nope, going to prop them up, going to prop up oil, natural gas, etc., because we don't care. I talked about this story where the Trump administration basically says, yeah, we believe climate change is happening. We just don't believe we can do anything about it. So let's not do anything about it. In fact, let's double down on not doing anything about it so that our donors can make money. In fact, I want to give you the quote here, the fabulous part, right? He said, without specifying which reports he was talking about, he signaled that the others were as valid as the UN's. Quote, I can give you reports that are fabulous, and I can give you reports that aren't so good. So, 97% of the world's studies on climate change, right, show that man-made climate change is here and the effects of it are going to be disastrous. He doesn't believe that. 97%. Nope, don't buy it, don't believe it. It's all hoax, it's all junk. And in this context, he says, those reports aren't so good. But the 3% of reports that are apparently fabulous, that he gives the same weight, the same credibility as the 97%. We are fucked. We are so fucking doomed. Seriously. Like, we have this guy who represents the main political party in America. He and the Republicans are of the same mind on climate change. Doesn't exist, or it's a hoax by the Chinese, or yeah, it exists, but we're not going to do anything about it. Why? Because our donors will lose a couple bucks. And by the way, some are fabulous and some are not. We got to get these guys out of office. Look, I keep stressing. That's why I keep stressing. Get involved. For God's sakes, vote. Not voting is one of the reasons Donald Trump is in office right now. Just one of the many reasons, of course. People so disgusted with the choices that we have. And I understand that. And I definitely feel like part of that, right? And I'm like, oh, fucking voting for Hillary. Ugh. But I did it anyway. Why? It's because the environment is incredibly important. And now we are basically on track. We have hit the accelerator on climate change, which is going to, look, it's going to basically destroy civilization. Massive flooding, right? Coastal areas that are underwater. Stronger storms. We have a hurricane bearing down right now on Florida. By 2100, Florida's going to be underwater. Look, we've got to do something. Activism is awesome, right? Voting is also an incredibly useful tool. Both working in conjunction can actually get you the change that you want. So, and not only that, but pressure. As I said, activism, pressure. Pressure works on politicians. What we need is a climate march. Not just one march, but a march every single fucking day on the White House lawn. We need a Marshall Plan for the climate. We've got to do something because we are at dangerous levels. This is literally, look, this is bad. This is bad. This is incredibly bad. We need to do something. We need to do something. So that's why I'm saying, get out, get involved, vote. For Christ's sakes already. Because this, again, absolute disaster. Okay. I don't know how much more I can stress. All right, I'm going to take a break. We'll come back. We've got Trump, his hilarious Medicare for All op-ed. I'm going to take that apart piece by piece. Stay right here. We'll come back. I'll read your super chats afterwards. So, send those if you got them. All right. Around the Nation will be back. All right, welcome back to the show. Sorry about that. Uh, is it Tums if you only take one, or is it plural? I'm trying to figure that out myself. I had to take a little thing. Apparently, that coffee did not agree with my reflux. But okay. Anyway, so let's see. Super chats. All right. Let's get into those. RB says, you got me. Good luck and don't stop. Talk about the news about money. We actually kind of do have a little bit of news about that. Thank you, RB. Actus Magus says, we really need to get younger potential voters educated and involved so we can oust the brainwashed boomers and fix things before it's too late. Amen, Actos. Amen. Agreed 100%. Thank you, by the way. I appreciate that. All right, there's a pretty great discussion here. And by the way, so a lot of you are saying Hillary probably wouldn't have done a whole lot on the environment. Yeah, you're right. Not anything like super progressive or forward thinking. Maybe like, oh, let's increase some solar subsidies, etc. And you know, that's good stuff and that helps. But let's be honest, pretty much no politician, with the exception of, you know, maybe Bernie Sanders and a couple of others, have the stones to actually put forward the plan, the kind of plan that we need. But here's what Hillary Clinton would not have done. Wouldn't have rolled back Obama regulations, or at least that many Obama regulations, like dumping coal ash in rivers. She wouldn't have pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement. Now, like, if you're criticizing her for not doing anything like super progressive, I'm with you. I'm totally with you. To say that she would have gone in the same direction as Donald Trump is just factually not true. And, you know, let's be honest about that, right? Hillary sucks. She ain't great in the environment, but she's not Donald Trump, and she's not, more importantly, not the Republicans. Because remember, Donald Trump is not an aberration. He is the Republican Party. The Republican Party is him. They get everything they want out of Donald Trump. So you gotta have to understand, any of these Republicans that were put up in 2016, had they won instead of Trump, would have done pretty much the same exact thing. Because they, as a party, are, at this point, they're a fucking death cult. They're a death cult. That's what they're about. So, and that includes destroying the environment for profit. Because they don't care. They don't care. Okay. Anyway. Did I forget Jill Stein? Didn't quite forget Jill Stein, even though I didn't mention it. But again, she didn't really have much of a chance. So, there is that. Okay. One more question here. Actos does ask, curious if I were more affiliated with TYT before and they changed something, or did they do something to make you split, or is this how it's always been? So, like, a little bit of inside baseball, nothing has changed. As far as my affiliation with the Young Turks, I'm still a network partner. Very proud to be a network partner. And I'm very proud of the opportunity that I've been afforded by the Young Turks as a network organization. So nothing has changed. I just figured I would more personalize it, you know, my channel and my show, so that people can have an association with me. Because for years, I've been confused with the main show, and I'm like, no, I'm not the main show. I am my own separate show on a network full of such shows. So I like have to put out that distinction. I'm not Jank, I'm not Anna, it's quite obvious, but still people make that wrong association. And so it's like, no, I'm a completely different person doing a show on the network. And I'm very happy to be on the network. So, yeah. So there's the explanation on that. Okay, anyway. Let's go into the rest of the show. All right. So earlier today, there was an op-ed published in USA Today, supposedly written by a one Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. Now, I say supposedly because there's no way in hell this guy wrote this. But nonetheless, whoever did write it on behalf of the president, so probably ghost-written, did a lot of fear-mongering and a lot of outright lies about Medicare for all. So this, of course, is basically a hit piece meant to fire people up for the midterm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this op-ed and basically point out the inaccuracies and the lies contained therein. So buckle up, guys. This is going to take a few minutes. Now, he starts out, he or she, whoever ghost wrote it, says, throughout the year, we have seen Democrats across the country united around a new legislative proposal that would end Medicare as we know it and take away benefits that seniors have paid for their entire lives. Already, there's so many lies. Just in that first sentence, for one, we have not seen Democrats across the country, at least not our politicians. A lot of our politicians, unfortunately, are still not willing to rally around Medicare for all. I think we have 15 senators and about 130 House members. That's a good start, but not nearly the amount of Democratic senators that we need to actually be in support of this. Remember, the polls have 70% of the American people and 85% of Democrats in favor. Do we have 85% of congressmen in favor of Medicare for all? Absolutely not. So already, disaster already lies upon lies. There's more. As I said before, this claims that this Medicare for all would take away benefits from seniors. That is patently false. And I'm going to point out why. But first, he continues. He says, dishonestly called Medicare for all, the Democratic proposal would establish a government-run single-payer healthcare system that eliminates all private and employer-based healthcare plans and would cost an astonishing $3.6 trillion during its first 10 years. Now, that's actually the most factual paragraph that he says. It would establish a single-payer healthcare system. Yup. Now, what does single-payer do? What is it? It is government-run health insurance. Just like every other industrialized country on Earth currently possesses. It covers everyone. Now, in doing so, of course, yes, it would eliminate all private and employer-based healthcare plans. That would, of course, cover, as I said, cover everybody without copays or deductibles. And it would free up employers from having to pay for their employees' health insurance or to offer it as a benefit. That would put smaller businesses, by the way, it would eliminate, I should say, the advantages of larger businesses over smaller business and put them at more of a competitive advantage, the smaller businesses. So, again, full of dishonesty, right? The $32.6 trillion. Now, that's also correct over 10 years. However, that is actually less than we are projected to pay. According to the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, under the current law, national health spending is projected to grow at an average rate of 5.5% per year for 2017 through 2026, and to reach a total of $5.7 trillion by 2026. So the current total would be $32.6 trillion over the next 10 years for Medicare for all. We're on track to be spending $57 trillion on healthcare, our current system. Medicare for all saves money. Saves money. So this is big lie number one, right? Now, here's lie number two. He said, as a candidate, I promised that we would protect coverage for patients with pre-existing conditions and create new health insurance options that would lower premiums I have kept that promise, and we are now seeing health insurance premiums coming down. No. Health insurance premiums have actually increased. Last year, Donald Trump himself opted to stop making the monthly cost-sharing reduction payments. Now, that's money that was reimbursed by the government, right, to health insurance providers so that they would reduce lower-income ACA enrollees' out-of-pocket costs. You eliminate those payments, and you increase premiums for people who need it the most, people who are poor in the subsidies, right? Now, he also removed the individual mandate, which, surprise or not surprise, has increased premiums. Why? Because younger, healthier people are now able to opt out of the program. They pulled out. Now, to show you the basically the effect of these things had on the insurance markets in different places, average premiums went up by 30% in Maryland, 19% in Washington, and over 24% in New York, and similar numbers are being reported all across the country. So, yeah, we've got all this stuff, all these insurance premiums rising incredibly fast. So no, the cost of health insurance, the premiums have not gone down under Donald Trump. They went up under Obama. They had been going up steadily for a very, very long time. The ACA slowed that. And Donald Trump's changes to the ACA have reversed that trend, and now they're rising even faster. Bullshit, lies, but there's more. He also said, I made a solemn promise to our great seniors to protect Medicare. That's why I'm fighting so hard against the Democrats' plan that would eviscerate Medicare. Democrats have already harmed seniors by slashing Medicare by more than $800 billion over 10 years to pay for Obamacare. No, that is absolutely wrong. That is that's what we call a zombie lie. Because they keep waking it up over and over and over again, rising it from the dead. Back in 2014, this has been around since the ACA began. The Washington Post noted back in 2014 that the $700 billion figure, see, you couldn't even get the numbers right. The $700 billion figure comes from the difference over 10 years, 2013 to 2022, between anticipated Medicare spending, what is known as the baseline, and the changes that the law makes to reduce spending. The savings mostly are wrung from healthcare providers, not Medicare beneficiaries, who, as a result of the healthcare law, ended up with new benefits for preventative care and prescription drugs. Democrats actually gave more benefits to seniors on Medicare. And whatever savings they made, yes, they funneled it back into into the ACA to make it better, to improve and expand benefits. That is a bullshit lie. Trump, he just made it up. He made it up. Republicans made it up out of whole cloth. Absolute lies. Now, that's just on the ACA. But let's go to his attacks on Medicare as they get quite specific. Democrats, he said, would gut Medicare with their planned government takeover of American health care. By eliminating Medicare as a program for seniors and outlawing the ability of Americans to enroll in private and employer-based plans, the Democratic plan would inevitably lead to the massive rationing of health care. What part of Medicare for all does he not understand? It's Medicare for everyone. It's taking the existing Medicare program and not eliminating it, but expanding it to everybody. But this is a lie that we've heard before. And it's a lie we've even heard from the Democrats, right? We had Chelsea Clinton out there saying, oh, they would get rid of health care as we know it. You would get rid of the ACA to replace it with a Medicare for all plan. And that was a bullshit lie. And this is an even bigger bullshit lie. Absolutely. It's a gigantic lie. Nothing in here is true at all. The idea of rationing healthcare, again, if you have Medicare for all, for everyone, that means everyone gets healthcare. And all the reports that say, oh, but there would be longer wait times for healthcare, they showed a very modest increase as soon as the legislation is implemented in, you know, basically the use of their new healthcare, right? So more people will go to the doctors immediately. But these are people that never had healthcare before that are going because suddenly now they have healthcare. All right. So look, we expect that, right? We expect there to be a lot of people who previously didn't get healthcare to go and actually get their healthcare under a Medicare for All system as soon as it's implemented. But that will not be sustained. As preventative care gets better, which it inevitably does under a single payer system, where people can go and get preventative care and prevent some of the biggest, worst medical expenses from happening, i.e. people waiting until they're deathly sick to go and see a doctor, which ends up incurring the biggest costs for the system. That doesn't happen under a Medicare for All system anymore. That's one of the reasons that it actually saves money. So again, lies, lies, and lies. And speaking of, as I said, rationing healthcare, we already have a system that rations healthcare. The poor don't get healthcare, and the rich do. Even people with insurance that have such high deductibles and copays that they can't see a doctor, well, that should be considered rationing, shouldn't it? Because in effect, that is exactly what it is. All right, there's more. More fear-mongering. Doctors and hospitals will be put out of business. Seniors would lose access to their favorite doctors. There would be long wait lines for appointments and procedures. Previously covered care would effectively be denied. Again, old, demonstrably untrue, as the current Medicare for All bill actually expands care to not just health care and preventative care, but also dental care and vision. So it actually increases the covered care that, only some Americans have access to now. All Americans will have access to a decent standard of health care. And of course, access to their favorite doctors. Again, that's ridiculous. For one, there will no longer be these networks, right? So right now how it works is that, the doctor's got to be in network, right, to the insurance company. And if your doctor is not in network, then guess what? You have to find a new doctor. Under Medicare for All, everybody would be covered under the same insurance, and so there wouldn't be any networks. So yes, you could choose your doctor, and you could stay with your doctor. That's one of the big benefits to Medicare for All. Not only that, but you'll actually get better care, as right now a lot of time, unfortunately, is spent on navigating insurance by your healthcare provider. They spend a lot of time trying to figure out, okay, what procedure is covered under this insurance, under that insurance? What do we do if they don't have insurance? Where's that money going to come from? They spend a lot of time on that insurance administration, whereas Medicare for All cuts it all out. Gone. It would actually make it more efficient and actually decrease wait times when it comes to going to the doctor. So none of what he's saying is absolutely true, but he says, in practice, the Democratic Party's so-called Medicare for All would really be Medicare for none. Under the Democrats' plan, today's Medicare would be forced to die. No, it would expand it. It would expand it. Look, you ask anybody, right, who lives under a single-payer healthcare system, you know what they're going to tell you? I mean, you start rattling off what Trump had been saying, they're going to laugh in your face. That is absolutely not true. None of that is true. But unfortunately, there are going to be people in America reading this and be like, oh, you're right. Medicare for none. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. More. I know. I'm going to take this thing apart piece by piece, man. Now, he also says, the first thing the Democratic plan would do to end choice for seniors is eliminate Medicare Advantage plans for about 20 million seniors, as well as eliminate other private health plans that seniors currently use to supplement their Medicare coverage. Well, there's a reason for that. It's because they wouldn't need it anymore. It's because Medicare for All would actually be expanded, and there wouldn't be a need for all these supplemental plans. That's the whole point of single payer. They would eliminate that donut hole. And besides, Medicare Part D is a gigantic giveaway anyway to insurance companies. We don't need it. We can save money by closing that and just allowing Medicare itself to cover those procedures. He's lying to you, man. He is absolutely lying to you. Now, further, Americans might think that such an extreme anti-senior, anti-choice, and anti-consumer proposal for government-run healthcare would find little support among Democrats in Congress. Unfortunately, they would be wrong. 123 Democrats in the House of Representatives, 64% of House Democrats, as well as 15 Democrats in the Senate have already formally co-sponsored this legislation. Democratic nominees for governor in Florida, California, and Maryland are all campaigning in support of it, as are many Democratic congressional candidates. Do you know why they're doing that? They're doing that because 70% of the American people want it. It is incredibly popular. That is over 50% of Republicans. 54% of Republicans are like, yes, I would like a government-run, single-payer healthcare plan, like Medicare, or just Medicare, expanded to everybody. That's what they want. 85% of Democrats. And by the way, if the Democratic Party represented the Democrats, people who vote Democratic, then why isn't 85% of Democrats in the House of Representatives and in the Senate backing Medicare for all? Well, of course, that goes to a longer conversation about the money. Follow the money. It is the insurance companies that give to both Democrats and Republicans to put out this fake propaganda. But there's more. You want to talk about fear-mongering? Here he comes. He said the truth is that the centrist Democrat Party is dead. The New Democrats are radical socialists who want to model the American economy after Venezuela. Venezuela, guys. Fucking Venezuela. Here we go. Here we go. I know it took a while to get into the crazy, but here it is. Fucking Venezuela. This is not Venezuela. This is Denmark. This is the Netherlands. This is the UK. This is every modern industrialized nation in the world that has this system. And yet, like Republicans, their only attack is Venezuela, socialism. You know, here's the thing, right? He says, quote, if Democrats win control of Congress this November, we will come dangerously closer to socialism in America. We are so far away from that, it's almost laughable. I hear this joke all the time on the left. I wish that the Democratic Party were half the socialists that the Republicans claim that they were. And that's true. No, the current Democratic Party is corporatist. They represent corporations and the wealthy. Dianne Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi, sorry. Pelosi, she comes out and says, we're capitalists, and that's the way it is. They live in two different worlds, man. We really do. But here's the thing about socialism. We already have some socialism. Guess what? It's called Medicare. That's what Medicare is. It is a socialist program. But right now can only be accessed by people that are 65 or older. Everybody pays into it, but you have to make it to 65 to be able to draw your benefits. Medicare for All is simply saying, we would like to expand that to everybody since we all pay in, so that we can all benefit, and so that we can actually pay less as a country and as the American people, the taxpayer, and the consumer for our health care. But no, Venezuela. Venezuela. He said, every single citizen will be harmed by such a radical shift. In American culture and life, virtually everywhere it has been tried, socialism has brought suffering, misery, and decay. Except when you have mixed market systems like Denmark, Finland, Iceland, the UK, Germany, Israel, and all other modern, basically, countries. Socialism paired with regulated capitalism has actually made some of the happiest countries on earth. These are places where people don't die from lack of health care like the tens of thousands of people that in America do every year. Maybe you should, look into that. Look into that. But more fear-mongering. Indeed, the Democrats' commitment to government-run healthcare is all the more menacing to our seniors and economy when paired with some of the Democrats' absolute commitment to end enforcement of our immigration laws by abolishing ICE. So now we get off healthcare, and now we go into, oh no, the Democrats, they just want to abolish ICE and let undocumented immigrants flood into the country to get free healthcare. He said, that means millions more would cross our borders illegally and take advantage of health care paid for by American taxpayers. So on ICE, we should definitely abolish ICE. Why? Jeff, are you saying that you're in favor of open borders socialism? Oh my God, we're not going to have any borders left. We don't have borders. We don't have a country. You guys forget that ICE was created in the early 2000s by George W. Bush. Before that, we had Border Patrol. We still have Customs and Border Patrol. The problem with ICE is that it's redundant and wasteful, especially at a time when immigration from Mexico is at net zero. Can he stop lying for at least 1 second? No, turns out not. No, he said, today's Democratic Party is for open border socialism. No, they're not. This radical agenda would destroy American prosperity. Under its vision, costs will spiral out of control. Already have. Taxes will skyrocket. And Democrats will seek to slash budgets for seniors, Medicare, Social Security, and defense. But why would they want to raise taxes if they're not going to, if they're going to slash the budgets for Medicare, Social Security, and defense? Why would you need to raise taxes if you're going to cut all that spending? Doesn't make any sense. It's nonsensical. It's nonsensical. It doesn't make sense at all when you think about it. But see, that's what they depend on the followers to do, what Trump does. Don't think. Turn off your brain and listen to my word salad that I'm spewing out. Listen to my rank propaganda, not based on actual factual information. What Democrats want to do is we want to raise taxes on the rich and corporations, and then use it to expand Medicare and Social Security. And yes, to cut defense, because right now we pay for defense more than, our defense budget is more than every other country combined. We can still field the most impressive military man has ever created if we have the Pentagon budget. China, China and Russia, they don't even hold a candle to us and how much they spend on the military. But see, the thing is that military budget is not spent on the troops. It is spent on defense contractor corporations. So all that money is being put into the hands of a few private business owners and not actually into soldier pay. That's why an E1 makes $19,000 a year. And that's why a significant chunk of people who are in the military are actually on food stamps. But they don't tell you that. He doesn't tell you that at all. But there's more. We're almost at the end here. Republicans, he said, believe that a Medicare program that was created for seniors and paid for by seniors their entire lives should always be protected and preserved. Medicare, in truth, was one step, right, for seniors. I believe that the people who conceived of Medicare eventually wanted it expanded for everyone, because it should be. And look, healthcare is a human right. And not only is it a human right, it's actually cheaper to achieve and actually way more efficient and actually saves people's lives. But as far as, of course, oh no, we believe we should protect Medicare. Republicans love Medicare. We want to protect Medicare. Well, if that's true, then how come Republicans have continued to vote for cutting $600 billion from the program in order to balance the budget? This House Republican budget, titled A Brighter American Future, would remake Medicare by giving seniors the option of enrolling in private plans that compete with traditional Medicare. Well, newsflash, they can't actually compete with private Medicare. And that's one of the arguments, by the way, from the business industry, from the insurance industry. It's like, we can't compete with Medicare because it's too efficient and the costs are really low for consumers. And on the other hand, Republicans say, oh, it's so inefficient, so wasteful, and it costs too much. Which one is it? You can't have it both ways. Just saying. All right. But look, here's what this means. This entire op-ed. Republicans are deeply scared of the popularity of Medicare for All. So they send Donald Trump out and a ghostwriter to basically fearmonger and rip up their base into a frenzy for the midterms. It's part of politics, right? So they want to kill two birds with one stone. We're scared of Medicare for All, so we're going to put out a hit piece. And we need to whip people up. So, of course, all the talking points are there. Freedom, choice, undocumented immigrants getting free stuff, socialism, Venezuela. All the talking points are hit methodically, point by point by point, and repetition. And that, of course, is for a purpose. And this, of course, will likely be the start. We knew this was coming. We did expect it. Now, there is one more thing. How are the Democrats taking this? Well, I think it's mixed. So there are some Democrats out there that are correcting him. Chuck Schumer, of course, put out a tweet where he crossed out a bunch of stuff and wrote, no, this is wrong, this is false, this is false, this is false. But without necessarily saying Medicare for All would be better. Verrett, however, very interesting. I know you guys probably like Verrett. What the Verrett? That's still a thing? Apparently it's still a thing. It was run by Peter Dow. Peter Dow is now woke. I know. Crazy. Verrett puts out a tweet that says just simply, hashtag Medicare for All. So now this comes in contrast to some of the earlier memos in the Democratic Party that basically told their candidates, whatever you do, don't defend Medicare for All. Don't defend it against Republican attacks. Here's what the Republicans are going to do to attack. Here's how they're going to do it. So, but unless you are forced into it, do not defend Medicare for All. Now, what I want to see from the Democrats and what I have a little hope for, but I'm slightly encouraged by some of the reaction I've already seen to this op-ed. I hope that the Democrats do come out with a full-throated defense of Medicare for All, because that's what the Democrats should be standing for anyway. So, because look, this is a program which 85% of Democrats, Democratic voters, want to see enacted, and not only that, it of course it will save lives, will save money, and will ultimately be better for the country. Holy crap. That took a lot longer than I thought. All right. $500 views. That's how much it's going to get. I gotta figure out what I want to do here. Let's see. I want to do a couple more stories here, but real quick ones. So let's go into, here we go. Let's do some tariffs. All right. You guys remember when Donald Trump said tariffs are awesome and trade wars are very, very easy to win? Well, it turns out tariffs, not exactly awesome, and trade wars are terrible. One piece of evidence I have is the fact that Ford Motor Company, a company that has been hit by some of these tariffs on steel and other and aluminum, are now planning massive layoffs. Now, according to HuffPost, Ford Motor Company is reportedly preparing to initiate major layoffs after suffering a blow to profits of at least $1 billion directly due to tariffs enacted by President Donald Trump. Now, how many workers will end up losing their jobs? They don't necessarily know. At least we don't necessarily know. But it's apparently being reported by Morgan Stanley that they believe that it's estimated that as many as 12% of the company's 202,000 workers worldwide could end up being cut. Now, that would be about 24,000 people worldwide. So that is a lot of people losing their jobs. So now I said it's worldwide, so some might happen in some of their overseas plants, but there's a pretty good chance that a lot of them are going to happen here. Now, layoffs will center on Ford's 70,000 strong white-collar workforce as part of what the company is calling a redesign of its staff in an ongoing $22.5 billion reorganization. So white-collar jobs, you have to understand, it's not necessarily people on the ground that are working in the factory, but white-collar jobs are also pretty important. Those people are mainly middle class or upper middle class. These people will have to go and find new jobs, which will end up, of course, shrinking the middle class. So that's not good. And look, any layoffs are potentially disastrous, especially for the families that are going through this. Now, Ford CEO Jim Hackett told Bloomberg last month that it is the tariffs. The tariffs are to blame, and the aluminum and steel tariffs alone dealt a gigantic blow to company profits of about $1 billion. He said, quote, "From Ford's perspective, the metals tariffs took about $1 billion in profit from us. The irony of which, we source most of that in the U.S. If it goes on any longer, it will do more damage." Well, look, is Donald Trump worried about damage that he's doing to the economy? No, absolutely not. He's an idiot. He doesn't understand that if you just do regular tariffs without any sort of good reason or strategy in order to extract trade concessions, then what are you doing? You're just harming the economy. But again, he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't understand this because he's a moron. He thinks that this is a great idea. MAGA guys are, especially ones that are going to get fired due to this. Do you still feel like you're winning? Do you still feel like you're winning? Because that, to me, does not look like you're winning. Okay. All right. Let's see about going to the next story here. All right. Where are you? So you've heard of walking while black, moving in while black, barbecuing while black. Now add babysitting while black to the list of offenses that will get the cops called on you in America. Now, Raw Stories reported that Georgia resident Corey Lewis is very upset after a white woman first stalked him as he was, taking a couple of kids that he was babysitting out on the road. Actually, he was in a parking lot of a local Walmart going on an errand with these two kids when he was babysitting, when this woman decided to come up and call the cops on him. Great. Now, the woman, white woman, of course, first approached him and started questioning him about the safety of the children. But why? But why? And the children didn't seem to be any distress or anything like that. So why are like you worried? Well, it's because these kids were in the company of a black man, these white children, right? Now, the woman asked Lewis if she could talk to the kids and make sure they're okay. And he refused, as he didn't see why he should let a complete stranger talk to the children whose safety he was supposed to be guarding. Now, the woman also then followed Lewis in her car all the way to the street where he lived before calling the police to report him. So now we got, you know, what is it, Babysitter Becky or something? I don't know. I don't know what you guys are going to call her, but I'm sure you'll come up with a hilarious name. We got somebody basically saying, well, it's so weird that a black guy is babysitting two white kids. There's something must be up. It must be a kidnapping. No, it's not a kidnapping. It's not a kidnapping. Nonetheless, cops showed up to the scene and talked to the kids, 10-year-old girl and a 6-year-old boy, who then confirmed that Lewis had not kidnapped them. The police then called the children's parents, who expressed disbelief that someone had told the cops to investigate that babysitter. The mother of the two children, Dana Mongo, told CBS 46 that she is stunned that anyone would call the police on Lewis. Quote, I said, are you saying that because there's an African-American male driving my two white kids, that he was stopped and pulled over and questioned? And he said, sorry, ma'am, that's exactly what I'm saying. Here we go again. Here we go again. Black people getting in trouble, getting the cops called on them for doing normal, regular things. And you want to say racism doesn't exist. How many times? You can't relax at your pool in the apartment complex that you live in while you're black. Apparently, you can't even be in your own home without, you know, while black, without being shot to death when a cop accidentally walks into your own house, your own apartment. You can't do any of that. You can't even, what are black people supposed to do? Stay home and do nothing? Well, as I said before, that's not to stop a cop from coming into your home and shooting you. There is literally no place in America that is safe for black people. This is insanity that we live in. And again, inherent bias, right? They see, some people see a black person with two white kids and be like, oh, must be up to no good. You're walking down the road holding Skittles and a nice tea. You must be up to no good. You're in a police uniform because you're a police officer in the backyard trying to, you know, investigate a crime scene. Must be up to no good. I'm going to call the cops on a black guy that looks like a cop, even though he is a cop, because I think he's not a cop. He's black. He must be up to no good. This is what we're like. This is what our society has become. That we look at a section of the American population and think they're doing something completely normal. They must be up to no good. Well, you know how they are. No, we don't know how they are. Please tell me how, what they are, right? How they are. Without sounding like a complete racist jackass. Because that's what you sound like when you say, well, I think they're up to no good. I think they're up to no good. No, they're not. They're regular people trying to live their lives. Jesus, man. This is, look, if I'm getting frustrated by this, imagine how the people constantly getting harassed by police and nosy white people feel. I did a story the other day about a man who was moving in to his house later at night, black man. The cops stopped him and thought he was a burglar, that he was robbing his own house because he was moving a television into his house. And instead of saying, instead of letting him go and get the paperwork, which proved that he lived there, the cops handcuffed him. And now the guy who was handcuffed was like, it's real uncomfortable, but I understand. You shouldn't understand. This shouldn't be a thing. Why is this a thing? It, again, goes back to that inherent bias that people have. And again, this is something that a lot of people aren't necessarily conscious to, but do it anyway. And that unfortunately perpetuates racism. We've got to be more mindful of that inherent bias. That person that called the cops on this young man, this Corey Lewis. Inherent bias. You've got to be conscious of it. And you've got to take steps to say, hey, wait a minute. Is this person just doing something normal? Do these kids look like they're in danger? No. Well, if they don't look like they're in danger, then leave them the fuck alone. For God's sakes. Just leave them alone. All right. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got time for. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for going around the nation with me today. Oh, do I have any super chats here? I think I saw one a little while back. Oh. Mark Ortiz asks, how long before dump reporters like Saudis? That is a scary, scary thought, especially with the way that he has talked about the press in the past and continues to talk about the press. So, I don't know, but that has some scary implications. Definitely. But thank you, Mark. Okay. So, that's the show for you guys today. Hopefully it won't have any problems getting the clips up. But for those who didn't see the clips from yesterday, they're up now. Go check them out. Please like and please share, etc. Okay, now, one more thing here. Patreon. Super, super important. That is a big way to help the show. We need your help desperately. So if you can, please do. You can help continue and keep the show alive. So, all right, guys. Thanks a lot. We'll see y'all tomorrow. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, TOT Nation. We'll see you guys tomorrow.